The richest aspects of the journey aren't the big spiritual experiences. They're where the mystery meets each moment of our daily lives. Experiencing deep healing and insight there doesn't require practicing harder or longer. It just requires that we prioritize presence. Our practice comes alive when we prioritize presence above the deeply ingrained urges to self-protect. As each fear challenges us, we reassure ourselves that even if or when it came to pass, it could never take our connection to life itself. We will always have a home in awareness. No one and nothing can take that truth. In this way, we can grieve our worst-case scenarios now. We can soothe our gravest insecurities, and then live the day we already had planned to live, or the one we dream of, but from this fearless and connected place. Valeria interviews Justin Michelson. He is the author of The Dharma of Healing, the Path of Liberation from Stress, Pain, and Trauma. Justin Michelson is a meditation teacher, author, and wilderness guide. Through his root teacher, Rodney Smith, and Rodney's teacher, Ajahn Buddhadasa, Justin carries on the lineage of the Thai forest tradition of Theravada Buddhism. His unique style blends nature-based practice, emotional healing, and traditional Dharma teachings. He currently lives with his partner outside of Eugene, Oregon, in a rural intentional community where, in addition to teaching and writing, he owns and operates Native Foods Nursery, a native edible plant nursery. Meet Justin at justinmichelsondharma.com. Here's the interview with Justin Michelson.
Aloha, everyone. This is another Quest for Wellbeing podcast conversation. And my guest today is Justin Michelson. He is a meditation teacher, wilderness guide, and the author of The Dharma of Healing, a path of liberation from stress, pain, and trauma. So this is my brief introduction to you, Justin. The full bio will be at the end, also on the podcast notes. And this is not the whole of you. There's so much more to explore. So I have all these questions here. But the question that I love asking all my guests before we dive into all these topics is a fundamental question. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Justin really in this very moment?
Oh, good question. Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here and talk with you about these topics. Just a human being, really. I mean, I'm sitting out here in nature right now, actually, and just feeling really connected and part of everything. And I think there aren't a lot of definitions in that. But I do love to teach meditation. I love to offer healing meditations for people to participate in. And I love to work with plants. I have a native plant nursery that I operate here in Oregon and be with my loved ones as well, of course. So it's short little bit about me.
Yeah, I love everything that you are, and that you are doing, the doing and the being at the same time. A question that I actually was asking myself, how did I get here? Like, how did you get to this place of doing what you do, being this expression of life and this embodiment of Justin? Do you call it, would you say it's a destiny type of thing? The guidance, a choice? Yeah. I would love to hear.
Good question. When I was 15 years old, my mother asked if I wanted to go to a meditation class for teenagers in Seattle. That's where I grew up. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. It just felt perfect. I was raised Christian, but I wanted something different at that time. I was spending a lot of time out in nature as well at a younger age. And I sat down for my first meditation class, and I think it was like we maybe meditated for 10 minutes. And I was like, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. And so that's just one little story into like, maybe there's some destiny. Maybe there's some fate there when we really deeply connect with something like that from an early age and stick with it. Of course, from there, all sorts of, life challenges have occurred, and changes in my practice, and places I've gone, and teachers I've sat with, and, so on and so on, until maybe 10 years ago, my teacher asked me to teach, the same teacher I started with in high school. And so that was sort of my beginning of a new form of my evolution as a meditation student, really. Is like, wow, teaching, and what does that mean? And really diving into my own experience in a new way. Every time I share about it, I learn something. And so it's just a wonderful way for me to grow as well. So yeah, my path has taken me a lot of different places, but that's maybe just a short little blurb. I just, I think when I was like, I remember thinking when I was 15, I sat down the first time, I was like, this is just like being a tree. This is just like, I just felt the resonance of a meditation as a natural act, as an authentic act, as a simple act of just being who we are in a really full and complete way. I'll say a wholehearted way. And so that really has stuck with me throughout the decades, and mirrors my love for nature as well.
What a beautiful path, beautiful answer. I love the story and your answer to that question, and the path too. It really feels to me, you speak of nature and trees, like some of us are designed by life to become like what trees are, plants are. Some plants will give fruits like mangoes, the other ones orange. They are not. They are just one essence, but they are not the same when it comes to their expression. So I really see humans as the same way. That we just expression of nature, really, to unique expressions of nature. With that in mind, meditation. So this question just came to me, and I have to ask you. So you said it feels very natural to our being, to us, and that's so true. When I reflect upon it, just as I listened to you, I was kind of, quiet, silence. Oh, I love being silent. But how do we bring this silence? What would you say that would look like when we are in action? The Tao talks a lot about, even Vedanta. I'm a student of Advaita Vedanta. The action and inaction, or inaction, action, everything. Everything is one. There's no separation between those two things. So talk to me from your own perspective. What would that silence be like when we are in action?
Yeah. Well, I like what you just said about each person being sort of like a unique fruit or tree that we're just kind of, and I want to go back to that to say that's a lot of what I see meditation as, is sort of rediscovering our own authenticity about who we are, what our natural innate expression is as a human being that's also a spiritual being. And I think a lot of the distress in the world today is that we have forgotten that, or we're forced into situations that don't feel natural to us in one way or another, and we're kind of forgetting who are we really underneath. And so that feels like a more fundamental answer to your question is action and inaction are both expressions of one's authentic nature. And so, following my path, it's what my teacher always would tell me, follow your heart, follow what you're passionate about, because that's where you're engaged, that's where your curiosity is, that's where your attention is. If we try to just stay present by, I sat Zen for a while, and we would just sit and look at the wall, which was an interesting practice. But it also often, it's hard to stay engaged, right? And so really, I think engaged or meditative action is action that brings our heart alive into the present moment fully. I'll just give an example with, I'm a dancer as well. I love to do contact improv and improvisational dance. And improv is just a great way of forcing you to be right in the present moment, right? And just, okay, what is next? I got to, in that case, if I slip out of that, present moment experience, I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to hurt someone else. So,
Yeah.
you really got to be in it. It brings your heart alive and brings you really present. So I think that's really the thing about action. I think most of the time we come across problems when we're forcing ourselves or life forces us into situations where we have to do actions that are really not aligned with us, really don't feed us. And then it's true in those situations, we got to work a little harder to stay present and to bring mindfulness and compassion to the forefront moment after moment after moment. Anyway, those are a few ways of answering your question.
Oh my God, I love it all. It just resonates with me deeply. Yes, becoming more natural, this, especially this part of the disconnection, we see the collective suffering. It
Mm-hmm.
really, it, it expresses itself in us too, individually, because I feel a lot of the pain. I know
Yeah.
some people call empathy, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like collective sorrow when I think
Yeah.
about indigenous cultures and then all the injustice that they went through. And then I see
Yeah.
also all around me people trying to work so hard, they cannot even sleep. They're so stressed out trying to pay for the rent and to
Yeah.
survive financially. So is that a reflection of how disconnected our systems have become and the structures around us, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah.
Do you feel that way too sometimes?
Certainly. Yeah, certainly. I think the deeper any of us go into healing and spiritual work, the more of a somewhat estranged perspective we can start to have on the world and be like, whoa, things are
Yeah.
very out of balance, right? And of course, we
Right.
maybe know that and we can feel that at some level, but yeah, the more you connect with a very natural state of being through meditation or different practices, the more you're like, wow, this is really harsh, the way the world is. But I mean, I see it in a certain way that all of us are good and wise at our core, and that's we're born that way. And then what happens is each of us experiences what I call an original wound. It's like the first wound we experience before we experience it when we are not feeling safe and connected. So we're not able to process that experience. And it could be anything. Like for me, it was a birth trauma, but it could be, with parents or siblings. Usually they're relational things. And instead of being able to process it, we do the only thing we know to do at that time, which is to create some sort of barrier over it, suppress it, and try to move on.
Right.
And then we do that again, and then we do that again, and then we do it again. And we have a really good intention. We're trying to protect ourselves. But what happens is we build wall after wall after wall, and we end up, years later, decades later, realizing we feel totally disconnected and we don't know why. And it's because we've made all the walls that have disconnected us from our original goodness and wisdom that was and is always there. It's just underneath. And so we got to take a different approach, and we have to turn towards the pain with compassion, work our way back so that we can re-experience who we naturally are. And so if you look out at the world, like that's just all multiplied by whatever, 8 billion. It's just, and it's those wounds, and that architecture of wounding is built into all of the social systems around us. So we do the same thing as groups of people. One country is trying to protect themselves from another country, and all these technologies of distraction and comfort and things. They're all just more walls we're putting up around the pain that's buried in us. And so it's like there's mountains and mountains of pain, and of course they're not limited to ourselves. And so those who are empathetic or sensitive can really feel the immensity. And now with social media and with all the news we hear from all over the world, it's like, you can easily become totally overwhelmed and bombarded. So, we really do. That's why I say, compassion is not just a sort of nice thing. Self-compassion is not just a nice thing to do, or it's a necessity now. We just absolutely have to have it to just cope with everything that's stored within us and is around us.
Right. Oh my God. Yes, Justin. Yes, a billion times to everything you said. I'm devoted to healing. So because I know that's a path. It's a path to freedom, it's a path to peace, to happiness, to all of it. And spirituality, of course. It's a huge path to it. Because
Hmm.
ultimately it is the work of unlearning, isn't it? Like you speak of the original wound. It's kind of going undoing what has been done, but then
Yeah.
consciously, intentionally doing that work. And I know it's not easy. I still do it myself to
Oh
this
yeah,
day.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a never ending process or an ever evolving process. It's because it's not about, it's not about you or me finishing our journey at some point or
Mm,
anyone else. It's about something so much bigger than us. It's about the universe
yeah.
unfolding in its journey, and we're a part of that. And so it is
Yeah.
by its very nature ever expanding and always unfolding, and we're always learning something new. And these we have nervous systems, so these wounds that we carry, especially from early ages,
Right.
they're not, they might totally disappear, but it's not even worth expecting that. It's really worth just showing up wholeheartedly for those experiences again and again and again until we don't even need them to go away anymore. That's the whole thing. Most of
Right.
us approach healing
Yeah.
like, or spiritual growth, like, okay, now we're going to get rid of this or that. And unlearning isn't necessarily a bad word, but it can also have that connotation where we're like, oh, we got to unlearn all this bad stuff or stuff I don't want within me. And all those kind of attitudes of aversion that we tend to bring to healing naturally because we don't want to be in pain. So we tend to have judgments and aversion towards our pain. But
Right.
that approach only leads to more knots that we tie in ourselves, and so we have to, again, have to take a different approach and actually welcome the pain and say, hello, I'm here with you, I understand, I care, and I'm here to support you, and work over time building resiliency in the face of what we thought before we wanted nothing to do with. So yeah, unlearning is one way to put it, but I like to kind of think of it more like we're repurposing. We're taking all of these less than helpful or harmful patterns that we, have inherited and developed, and we're seeing that they are actually love too. We're seeing, oh, this is all built on care. This was just trying to help me. This is just trying to help me. This is still trying to help me. This anger, this grief, this judgment, this anxious devotion to my spiritual practice and my healing. I have to heal. I have to heal. All that, those attitudes, that's all trying to help us. But we just have to turn our attention around towards them, towards our mind and heart that's coming from those places, and meet them with this wholehearted compassion. So that's a lot what I talk about in the book. And then those parts of ourselves don't need to go away. They can transform into their highest expressions, with which again is what I'm saying is love, or it's this essential goodness that's at the center of us, what I might call our original hearts, that they're all a part of that. They're just, I see that with the whole world. That's all of the pain and turmoil and the way people harm each other. It's actually all just love that's been distorted. It's been contorted by our own pain, by our own confusion.
Wow. I hear wisdom, timeless wisdom. Thank you for saying that. Because, that reminds me of Carl Jung. He used to talk about one of his main teachings was about doing shadow work, integrating, becoming whole. So wholeness, being complete, not divided. So the whole point, I think also with, have you heard about the secret of the golden flower?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's from the Taoism. It's a practice of alchemy. So I don't know, it just came to me about maybe 10 years ago, and I started practicing that. So fascinating how everything goes back to this undivided part in us. It could be then the Tao, they talk about the heart with the golden flower. So your heart's undivided and it's not running from anything. Because as soon as the heart sees something that seems horrible and unfair, like
Hmm.
children being abused or the animals or the environment, then the heart
Yeah.
tends to run away, kind of divide itself. So the
Yeah.
idea is just keep the crystallize the spirit. They call it the spirit. So now
Mm.
you just stay here whole, grounded. It's kind of an interesting idea, which
Yeah.
resonates with me. And this idea that
Definitely.
you're speaking of, it kind of relates to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I resonate with that.
So, your book, there's so many. I have notes here that says I love this, I love this, I love that. So I'll read it. So the book is titled. Before that, talk to me about the intention of your book, the Dharma of healing, the path of liberation from stress, pain, and trauma. I love the Dharma of healing. There's something about these words together. I don't know why, but it really opens my heart when I
Mm.
say it or look at it. So it's kind of interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Dharma, that word is usually either translated as the teachings of the Buddha. And I have, my main tradition is Theravada Buddhism or insight meditation. And then another translation of that word is nature or the nature of healing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of either of those work. But those two words are there because the book itself is basically an expression of a synergy between Buddhist meditative thought and Western healing modalities. So East and West, and how to apply that synergy to our active engagement in the world, in the modern world. And so there's a little bit for everybody. I mean, for me, I came more from the Buddhist meditation side of things and then realized I needed emotional healing and started going to therapy and doing different practices. And that was a big aha for me. So I tell some of my story in there. But for other folks, they may have experience with, Western healing modalities, but then this takes those modalities to sort of the next level of spiritual insight as well. And then there's folks who are just, they're so caring, deeply caring, that they're out in the front lines trying to help everything, but they're getting burned out and they need something to kind of an approach that actually isn't going to lead to compassion fatigue, but it's going to actually lead to opening up to deep restorative truths within themselves. So there's a little bit in there for different types of folks, but the book as a whole, I wanted to create a way that people could do the practices that I have been sharing in small retreats for quite a while now. And so there's, I think, 39 meditations in the book. They're linked to audio online, and most of those meditations are sequential, and they go through a series of different, what I call turnings of the wheel of healing. And so it starts with, on just the surface level, more like, and I can go deeper into this, and then it goes deeper into our subconscious healing, and then it goes into the collective, and then the universal. So there's these 4 layers of self-compassion practice. And that's not just any type of self-compassion. It's a particular form with particular phrases, which I can also talk more about. But so the middle part of the book really is like a course in and of itself that you can keep coming back to and deepening over time. So it's a little bit about the book. It's helpful as a guide, I think, for a lot of folks.
Yes, very much it is. Thank you so much, Justin, for, again, your contribution to healing and spirituality. I usually put those two concepts together because it is so helpful. And I know that it's not easy to write a book.
No.
So thank you, for undertaking this work. It's a lot of
work. Course, yeah. It was, it's just something you feel like you have to do, and it just comes. So it was okay. I learned a lot. I still reference it and go back to it for myself. So.
Right. Isn't it? I heard that before. By trying to help others, we are actually helping ourselves. Somebody said that.
Yeah.
So I want to mention one, for some reason, I just put it right here because I'm not linear. So I kind of go by what calls my attention or resonates with me energetically. I feel something or kind of awakens something in me. That's what I stay with. not so easy in a structured world. We talked off record about the timing thing. It's just not an easy thing, but I
Sure.
tend to be very playful and also very non-linear. But I noticed that I put this here. Says in your book, you wrote, we are always part of a large process that started before us and exists beyond us. Ultimately, the contents of any moment are the result of a process as old as time and as wide as the farthest edges of space. Not
Mm.
a single thought or emotion happens spirally from us. Our heart minds are well beyond our control. Oh, I just love this. I don't know. I mean, it
Hmm.
just resonates with me wholeheartedly because it has to do again with the flow of life and cosmic intelligence that there's so little we know about how all this came to be in the first place. I remember when I was
Yeah.
very little, like wondering, what am I doing here? Who am I? And what is this? That question stayed with me pretty much to this moment, although I have realized that I'm not what I think I am. But
Hmm.
has been like an unpacking, unfolding. I mean, has been beautiful. But talk to me about this specific passage from your perspective. How did this come to be? Where did you get this insight? It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of spiritual traditions and practices lead to greater perspective,
Yeah,
right? And so,
yeah,
of course, we start thinking that everything in our hearts and minds is all important and everything in our lives is all important. And we have, it's the end of the world if we don't get this or
yes.
that. And, from a kid all the way till we're adults. And then spiritual practices often will say, well, there's something else going on here too. And so in Buddhism, that's often talked about through the teaching of non-self, which is also a teaching of interconnection.
Yeah,
And nature is also a great teacher of this,
right.
showing that, the earth in my body is in the trees and will go back to the earth, and the air in my
Mm,
lungs, is
mm,
I only breathe because the trees are breathing, and I,
right,
you
right.
know, all, earth, air, water, fire, the elements are within and all around
Mm,
us. And
yeah,
they're not limited to this planet. They're larger in the universe. So there's beautiful modern insights of modern science about the nature of the cosmos that can play into this
yes.
understanding of the vastness. But we can also just feel it in meditation sometimes, where it's quiet and spacious, and we
Mm,
feel it just extending forever, and there's no boundaries between
right,
us and anything else. And so it can
right.
be a felt sense, it can be an intellectual exercise, but however we get into that more expansive state, that helps us feel more free, generally speaking. There can be
Mm,
sometimes like a fearful edge to it because it's unknown and it's uncertain, and that's kind of
yeah.
crazy. It's out of control, right? And we don't,
Huh.
in our small
Yeah.
nervous systems, that's a scary thing. It's understandable.
Mm,
But as we learn to work with our emotions, like through some of these self-compassion practices, then we
yeah.
can start to expand into the unknown, the uncertainty, the uncontrollable, see where our
Mm,
edges are, meet ourselves there, and be really kind, understanding for
mm,
the fear we might experience, and then work towards relaxing again in that, and then expanding a little further. And as we
mm,
expand more and more, then there is this sense sometimes where the thought or the emotion that normally you would think of as everyday, Justin, you see impersonally. You're like, oh, this actually isn't just mine. This is a thread or a strand of energy that's been traveling like a wave of light through the universe for billions of years. It just kind of happens to be expressing itself in my little window of observation called my
mm,
mindful attention. But
yeah.
and so then there's some magic and some wonder there, and like, wow,
Mm,
that's amazing thing to be a part of. But it loosens everything up. It gives everything perspective, and we get to allow nature to flow through us more like a river, instead of
uh,
having to constantly, I don't know, nitpick around everything and
right,
try to
right.
fix everything and change everything.
Oh my God. Yes, a billion times. Yes, to that truth, those truths. What's not to love about everything that you're speaking of? Um, why do some people don't realize this? Like it's so painful to try to control everything instead of being open to the unknown, or at least curious. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you see that? Why do some of us awaken or interested in these this whole process of seeing life as for what is, and some of us just die, lose the body without even tapping, not even 1%
Yeah.
of what's possible.
Well, I think there could be a lot of answers for that. And the truest answer is I don't know all the factors because they're vast and
Right.
innumerable. But in our context, talking about this topic, I think wounding is the most
Yeah.
prevalent or obvious or dominant, that
Right.
folks who get hurt early on in big ways
Yeah.
have a very hard time finding enough safety within our modern culture and
Uh,
support to
yeah.
go back into those places that to them are absolutely unbearable. And
Right.
when we are unable to go back into those places in ourselves that are painful, that pain starts to fester and it starts to come out in different ways. And we start, yeah. And so either we feel blocked, even though we want to go there, or we're so consumed by the project of trying to escape pain that
Right.
we're not even available, or we're totally oblivious to it. So
Right.
sometimes it's actually an experience of privilege, that if you've had a more, like the Buddha, I like to talk about, the Buddha was
Mm.
raised by, in these castle walls as a prince, and apparently had this immaculate childhood, right? And then he
Yeah.
went out as a young man and saw the suffering of the world. Well,
Right.
that's a different way to approach suffering of the world once you've created a sort of stable foundation of safety and connection in yourself. And
Right.
but for most of us, myself included, from very early on, we have learned that the world is not a safe place to be in.
Yeah.
And so our main preoccupation is, how do we restore that safety and connection? But every message around us is telling us, and the messages within us are telling us, that restoring safety and connection ourselves is not through going back inside into our own pain. It's through, finding the right job or the right car, the right this or the right relationship or the right spiritual practice, even to try to get away. So it's, we just have such a deep-seated ancient aversion to pain, and it makes a lot of sense. Even one-celled organisms move away from what they don't want to be around. And so it's really deep in us, and I think it just propels us. And so some people are more wounded than others. That's one. So that's one answer to your question. There's other things involved as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Yeah. That also makes a lot of sense to me. So, what caught my attention is the Buddha and some spiritual teachers that I'm aware of, that they didn't have this kind of painful, traumatic childhood. So, do you think
Mm-hmm.
that life somehow chooses them to become the teachers, the voice of consciousness, because they don't have their original wound, and then it's easier for them to, in a sense, embody that pure consciousness and deliver the message. I don't know.
Maybe.
It feels to me. Maybe by Justin. That might
I
be the
yeah,
case.
I don't know. But certainly, that's part of the premise of kind of where I come from, is that if we can, through practices of wise self-compassion, restore our own safety and connection. Because when we're kids, we don't really have a choice. We're pretty much dependent on our circumstances, to feel good, bad. We're depending on the adults around us to feel safe, and sometimes we don't. But as adults, we can kind of take responsibility now and say, all right, well, we can engage in ways of being with ourselves that slowly, over time, restore that safety and connection that was missing. And then that brings us closer to those experiences we want to have, that maybe the Buddha had, of this sort of wholeness and union and deep peace over time. So it's true for a lot of spiritual people too. they go into spiritual practices and don't really realize that, in the end, they're going to have to go deep into their pain, that they can't bypass it through some spiritual exercise of some sort. And that's a really humbling moment. Yeah.
Right. Has been my case for
Yeah.
sure.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I can escape all this, but just understanding these highly complex spiritual understandings, and I did it, but part of me felt like I was already there, but then the body mind would say, "Wait a minute, you didn't ask us about all this these higher understandings of yours,"
Yeah.
and then it just didn't work. So I
Yeah.
had to go back to the basics, EMDR, all those things. The
Yeah.
somatic, the body stores a lot of wounds. It's fascinating to
Yeah.
see how ancient the body is, right?
It is. It's powerful. The nervous system is extremely powerful. And if it is caught in fight and flight for whatever reason, then it's very hard to do any spiritual practice that isn't, going to just kind of reinforce the same things. So.
Yes. Oh, I have so much compassion. I studied Tibetan Buddhism before too, and I love this part of it, the self-compassion and compassion for others. It's just really beautiful. That's the devotional part of it, the bhakti, that when I think about Vedanta also is very intellectual and very straightforward, direct knowledge. You are already what you're looking for. You're God. Yeah. You are God. So now, if you're curious about how is that so, then you go through the process of learning. But there's something about the heart that they at Advaita Vedanta don't really explore. That's left a little bit out. And that's what I really like about Tibetan Buddhism, although I didn't, for some reason, I never went back to it. But compassion, yes, that's something that I love that about Tibetan Buddhism, I have to say.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
It's very much necessary in our reality. So in your book, I want to go back and read notes that I made here about you have the sections, the first turning. I like that first turning, and then the second, and then the third turning, and then the fourth one. That reminded me of Sufism. I remember the turning of the heart. I remember that. But yeah, that's more like, have you heard that before? I was wondering if you were inspired by them.
No, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, it's when the heart, they speak of the heart. It's so beautiful, Sufism. That's something that also, you see, every religion, it's kind of fascinating. They have some aspects that really resonate with me. And I usually don't resonate with some other parts of the religion, but
sure,
I just kind of almost pick and choose, like, oh, I love this, so I'll just take that, but not this. So they talk about the turning of the heart. That's when consciousness look at itself, almost like the eyes. Yeah, turn. Instead of looking out, it's looking in out to itself. And now the light meets light. So it's very, so vivid the way they explain it. And just by listening to it, even reading the poem, it feels like it happens, within myself. Like, oh, wait a minute. I can feel the light. Yeah, I can see the light. Anyway, so you didn't, you're not familiar with that, but your work kind of reminded me of that. I want to say.
Yeah, that's a big part of the work. You turn your attention around towards what's inside, and sometimes it surprises you because you don't realize that you are coming at your healing or spiritual practice sometimes with a lot of anxiety or agitation or a lot of excess determination or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, that's actually wounding too. That I was this whole time I'm so dedicated, devoted to my spiritual practice because I anxiously am trying to get away from my pain. Oh, that's good. And then have compassion for that. And then, so there's turning your attention around is a powerful and ever deepening kind of exercise.
Yeah. And I see that clearly. It's fascinating how all these spiritual teachings, ancient ones, all of them, even the modern ones, they all go back to the same message, core message. It's within you. It's basically exactly that. It's turning around. You got to turn all of it around in a sense, not look on for the outside world in order to find the answers that you're looking for,
Right.
but the opposite, just turning to your own, the attention to your own inner self. And that goes for healing. It's exactly what we do. We just pay more
Yeah.
attention to everything that's happening inside. And then and with the secret of the golden flower, I love the the visuals, this depiction of a flower, golden flower that kind of it's almost like we create the soil for it by turning around again the lights. So the lights, they call like circulation of the light. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically having the light, the source, the core of what we are, being the driving force or the driver of this vehicle that we drive, let's say the temple, the car, the body,
Yeah.
and the mind. So that's driving everything, the perception of reality. So
Yeah. It's
fascinating. I mean,
beautiful.
sometimes it sounds very beautiful, and I know I have that. I can't help it. I love beautiful concepts. And I love using my mind for that anyway, instead of other things. Beautiful
Sure.
concept, beautiful anything. So, in that sense, it's also helpful, right, Justin, to kind of turn around the mind in that sense and kind of use the mind as a tool to contemplate the beauty of life. It's
Yeah.
everywhere, actually.
Yes. I agree.
So,
Agree.
I think I'm getting carried away, right? With no specific questions, but just like on and on. I can just talk
No
on and on
problem.
and on. Non-scripted, but I have to go back to my script. So I love the meditations that you have this for all of them. I believe all of them. You have the preparatory reflections, and then you have the method summary, and then you have the suggested phrase variations, and then quick tip for
Yeah.
all of them. So you make it very practical, which is wonderful too.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So the self-compassionate practices there in that section, they're composed of 4 root phrases. It's I see you, I understand, I care, and I'm here to support you. And those 4 phrases are what I say sort of makes up a really wise form of self-compassion. So you can imagine saying those to yourself or saying those to an emotion that you're feeling. I see you, I understand why you feel that way, I care about you, and I'm here to support you. And seeing, understanding, caring, and supporting, as you kind of work with those together, synergistically create this really beautiful flavor of compassion in the heart. And the 4 turnings are, and the meditations within those are using different variations of those 4 phrases towards different aspects of yourself. And so at first it's just the surface level, I'll call it, like your basic day-to-day ups and downs, like things didn't go well or they did go well, or, you're a little bit frustrated here or there. And you kind of work on that level, just putting a hand on your heart, maybe saying some phrases. And then the second turning is where we go deeper into the older wounds that we carry that carry a lot more energy into our subconscious. And that requires us to be even more wholehearted when we say those phrases, when we show up for ourselves, and more devoted that, I support you no matter what, forever, no matter what happens, saying that to ourselves. I'll always care for you. I'll always understand you. I'll always see you. And it's creating that unconditional care and compassion for ourselves and learning what that's like, which is a mirror for the unconditional compassion that the universe or the world, the life itself has for us. But we're kind of working in our own personal realm in the first 2 turnings. The second 2 turnings is where we expand out. So that third turning is the collective. So every wound that we experience is not just ours, as we mentioned. It's
right.
In fact, it's only a little bit ours. It has deep familial and ancestral aspects to it. It has cultural aspects to it. It has ecological or evolutionary aspects to it. And so as we start to see that and care for ourselves in this larger collective context, we realize we can start to set some of it down, right? Because sometimes when we get into healing in the first few turnings where it's really personal, we have a hard time setting it down. We have to heal this, or it's so important, or it's so painful. But then we start to open up and realize, oh, it's not just about me. And part of caring for it is actually is letting it go. And that's as we move to the fourth turning, where we allow ourselves to be cared for by the universe itself or by life itself, and start to relax the efforting even more and more and more, and rest more in that spaciousness, that silence, that stillness, and feel the care coming to us. So that's the fourth turning. And then we start back over. Right? And then we get up in the morning, and we had a great meditation yesterday, but we get up in the morning and we stub our toe and we're all irritable, and now there's irritation, and we just start back in the first turning, and we keep cycling through first, second, third, fourth turning over and over again until they start to merge and come into one thing. We could think of it as coming to the center of the wheel, even, where it's like the surface level, the subconscious level, the collective level, and the universal level are all happening simultaneously at one time, which is paradoxical, but the heart is able to hold that paradox over time. So that's kind of the general architecture of the practices, if that makes sense.
Yes. Wow, it's beautiful. And it is a paradox that at the same time we kind of surrender to the flow of cosmic intelligence, and we are just carried by life as birds are carried by the wind. But then there's also the humility in it, and the self-compassion, as you said, when we just somehow forget about that, or go back to the controlling, or the becoming upset about something, then we have this way of coming back home again by engaging with these practices. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Justin, for the work. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Beautifully done. So we're almost at the end. I do want to mention this, because everything goes back, the core message of your work, it goes back, the book and your work, it goes back to this, the everything and nothing. So I love this. I think it was, meditation 19, the awakened heart. You wrote, this is the final meditation in the series of core practices. It brings together the essence of each of the four turnings into a unified whole, encouraging us to include everything and cling to nothing. Oh, I just love that.
Yeah, that's that coming to the center of the wheel, and all those different aspects of ourselves being unified in one experience there, and nothing left out. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's like this sacred paradox.
It is, yeah. And one little practice that's kind of fun I like to do, I'll just mention, is that you can choose the earth, or you can choose the word the universe, or spirit, or God, or whatever you want to call it. And as you track your own experience through the day, this is, when you're in action, you can say, oh, the earth is feeling sad. The earth is upset right now. The earth is being controlling, or the universe, or whatever it is. And start to feel that paradox, and start to feel, oh yeah. Because that's the thing we forget, is like, oh, it's either I'm in some spiritual place, or I'm like lost in some not spiritual place. But really, there is no separation. The universe is feeling irritable. The universe is doing something egregious or violent. That is what's happening, because that's always an aspect of ourselves. So just, there's ways that we can kind of creatively find our ways into that paradox that don't feel so unsettling. So yeah, the earth is talking. The earth is talking to you right now. The earth is talking to the earth.
Yes, I love that too. And then, yeah, it's less, it creates less stigma too, right? Because a lot of people don't
Yeah.
like the word God. They usually don't use that. I used to have a problem with the word God. It was too much for me too. But then
Yeah.
I just let go of that. And I feel like I can use any
Yeah.
word. That's okay. Oh, I love that the way you said that too. I mean, everything just, yeah, it resonates. It's lands here
Hmm.
as timeless wisdom.
Thank
That's what
you.
I call it. Yeah, even if your book stays here for the next 5,000 years or even longer than that, it's still very much relevant. We can still, the new
Yeah.
humans
Wouldn't
can
that be
still
cool?
use it. The wisdom there. Yes, yeah. Oh, you never know. That's exactly what
Good.
might happen with all this
Yeah.
technology that we have. So I want to mention your website is justinmichelson.dharma.com. It will be clickable on the podcast notes, so you don't have to memorize it. I want to also mention your services. You have the book, of course, on Amazon, on your website as well. And you offer courses. I see 3 of them here: emotional wisdom for spiritual people, healing and liberation through true compassion, finding safety in a wounded world. You also offer group mentorship and retreats. Did
No,
I miss
that's great. Yeah.
anything, Justin?
justinmichelsondharma.com and yeah, feel free to reach out.
I'll have everything here. My team will take care of the marketing because what I love to do is these conversations. I can't help it. They're just my sacred space. So thank you so much
Yeah.
again for saying yes to it, to this dance, of being in the moment and sometimes all over the place.
That's great.
But Earth is doing
Yeah.
Earth is doing it. I love that. I love this idea too. So thank you so much for your beautiful presence and wisdom,
Great. Thank you
Justin.
so
And we'll
much.
talk soon. We'll
All
be in
right. Bye
touch
bye.
again. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Justin Michelson and his work, please visit justinmichelson.dharma.com.